There are things in Mexico's everyday life that carry symbolism from our past, which often go unnoticed, and today's topic is one of them. There used to be a format for civil register records throughout the country. This applied to birth, marriage, death, and divorce certificates. They were framed with a design featuring a serpent's head at the top left corner, with the rest of the design forming the body of the serpent. This design has been the subject of modern creations, as we can see here. It was also used as one of the engravings decorating the so-called monument to the race. This monument, completed in 1940, is located in Mexico City and blends aspects from various pre-Hispanic cultures, such as bronze plaques from the Triple Alliance, feathered serpent heads like those from Teotihuacan, and reliefs of the serpent, which is the focus of this video. Now, the inevitable question is whether the head depicted in the civil registry records is based on an original pre-Hispanic design, or if it's a recent creation similar to the Mayan calendar we see here. The answer is indeed that the design was inspired by an original creation that dates back at least 1,300 years. This design can be appreciated in one travels to the state of Morelos. In that state lies the Xochicalco archaeological zone. Xochicalco flourished between 650 and 900 AD, and its true name is unknown. This area is one of Mexico's most famous, consisting of various buildings and public squares, including ball courts, square lodges, an astronomical observatory, and much more. This city was strategically situated on mountains with defensive construction and was inhabited by the elite of that society. This area has even appeared in films such as The Other Conquest. But among all its constructions, one small building stands out. Compared to the bases of other places and cultures, it's actually quite small, as you can see in this comparison. However, despite its size, it holds many symbols and meanings. The current name given to this base is the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpents. Now, as always with the study of pre-Hispanic matters, this area was in ruins, and this specific base was mostly buried under soil and vegetation. As it began to be explored, it was represented on several occasions, with the earliest representations being somewhat imprecise, as you can see in the images. Some of these representations even mistakenly depicted several levels on the base, but as we said, the construction was buried and heavily deteriorated. When looking at these early photos, the existence of the serpent depicted in the modern designs and documents we previously referred to is evident. However, the construction doesn't just feature one serpent but 8 in total, divided into 2 on each of its 4 faces. In its splendor, the engravings would have been complete with a small temple at the top, colored with vivid colors such as reds, yellows, blues, etc. Despite being small, it reflects much of the political, religious, astronomical, and calendrical beliefs of this culture. The origins of its creators are unknown. Some suggest that its inhabitants had Maya affiliation, being related to other groups such as in Cacaxtla, in Tlaxcala, and of course, others theorize other influences, such as those of Taquín, Teotihuacan, or Monte Albán. This city actually only had a few hundred years of prominence. Some believe it had about 350 years of influence. The theories are divided again in the sense that some refer to it as a city contemporary to the final stage of Teotihuacan, where some speculate that it may have emerged due to its decline. On the contrary, others suggest that its existence was one of the factors that contributed to the fall and disappearance of Teotihuacan. However, it may have been similarities are found in the worldview depicted in this base. Just like in Teotihuacan, where there's the base of the feathered serpent with Tlaloc and marine environment. The same occurs here, where the serpents represent a marine environment. Obviously, neither of the two cities were near any sea, but their representation of shells speak of their power, perhaps military and commercial, that they extended to maritime areas. Additionally, the city followed the style of building a new base on top of the older ones. It has 3 construction stages, with the last one being the one we see here. Inside, burials and various types of sea shields were found. The surviving engravings on it had various interpretations. In the main part, it's theorized that these characters, surrounded by feathered serpents, could have been rulers of the city, perhaps with Maya affiliations as we mentioned. At the top, remains of 24 characters survive, who have banks, perhaps, or the names of the subdued population. Some suppose that they might have been tribute-paying peoples of the city, but there are also calendrical dates, as well as sections referring to how they modified their system to account for time, considering even the lighting of new fires and eclipses. Thus, they created their own time measurement system that could govern them. Obviously, there are also 2 associations with Quetzalcoatl due to the serpent and with Tlaloc. As for the serpents, they need no further explanation. But in the characters who seem to be tribute payers, they have eyeglasses, like those worn by Tlaloc. This leads us to speculate that the base was dedicated to Quetzalcoatl and Tlaloc. Well, if we turn to the myth, some suggest that when Quetzalcoatl left Tolan, he passed through several places founding new civilizations, one of them being the inhabitants of this region, but we don't have definitive certainty. However, the existence of this small base, of which only remnants remain, speaks of the cult of the feathered serpent. It was a way to reverence the rulers of the city, their influence and power in having subdued peoples under their control, as well as an important trading center where goods from the sea were even brought. Obviously, the design of the serpents carved into the rock was taken for the creation of civil registry records in Mexico. You can see the coincidence of the head attached to the tail of the feathered serpent, both in the original design and in the record. Of course, today this model of record has been discontinued, replaced by a new green-colored model. But despite this, while the head was removed, 2 of the serpent tails persist. They are located on the sides of the national coat of arms. The head and body have disappeared, but the new records still retain traces of the feathered serpent base. So, if you didn't know the origin of the design of civil register records in Mexico before, now you do. You also learned a bit about the culture that inhabited the area now called Xochicalco. What do you think? Which design do you prefer? The new one or the old one where the entire body of the feathered serpent from Xochicalco appeared?